people who are taking the time to do research into Watchtower because maybe they've been intrigued by something they read, something they heard, or a family member has been intrigued by something they read or something they heard, and they're discovering things about Watchtower, the UN scandal, the changes in doctrine, the child abuse cover-up, you name it. They're discovering these things and they're asking themselves, okay, wait a minute, if all this is true, how on earth can someone still be loyal to this organization at this point in time? And that's an excellent question. And it's always been an excellent question throughout history. When people have been able to discover things about cults and organizations that people were loyal to that were in fact doing horrible things, or at least not living up to the squeaky clean image that they were projecting. And in the case of Jehovah's Witnesses, you couldn't ask for a more squeaky clean image to project. So squeaky clean that God will destroy the rest of us and preserve only them through his coming temper tantrum. So in the past, when people have conducted research into groups making claims like this, and they've discovered things, however they discovered them, there wasn't an internet, but let's say they infiltrated and they found out a dirty secret and they said, okay, no, wait a minute, something's wrong. You people need to know about this, that, or the other. It was so easy for people who were loyal to that organization to just dismiss them as a nut, as a jealous failure who couldn't hack it or whatever, or couldn't handle it, and have genuine sympathy, right? And Jehovah's Witnesses are no different, because Jehovah's Witnesses are also cult members. So when they hear about and see people who've left the organization, the same thing occurs to them. Oh, they couldn't handle it, right? They couldn't handle it. And they either feel bad for the person, which you'll see some Jehovah's Witnesses do when they bump into apostates, or they look down their nose at them, like you'll see, unfortunately, most Jehovah's Witnesses do, at least in my experience. So the point is that those questions that person doing research into Watchtower has are excellent questions. Maybe the most important being, how on earth can a person still be loyal to Watchtower in 2017? And the answer is because that's what Watchtower and every cult does. It keeps people loyal, no matter what. And how do you keep people loyal? Well, if you can, the best way is to get them when they're young. And I'll tell you a story. I had a lot of respect for one of Jehovah's Witnesses right off the bat when I first started studying, taking it seriously, pioneering for 6 years, had more Bible studies that actually progressed to meeting attendance than all the other brothers in a congregation combined. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying I focused. It was what I wanted to do, and I did it. I did it as well as anyone in that time, 11 years total. Anyway, throughout this time, I always had such respect for this one JW who was mild and calm and could teach well and was just submissive and just was such an example of, as far as I was concerned, loyalty and Christian maturity and the evangelizing spirit and the self-sacrificing spirit. Anyway, I bumped into this person about a week ago, and I had seen them on and off walking around and sort of looking at them like, yeah, I don't know if you want to say hi. I don't think you're allowed to say hi to me, And they were like, why? And I'm like, oh, never mind. And we'd pass each other. Anyway, this person sat down right next to me when I was having a coffee the other day, and I just basically flat out said something to let her know, no, we're not going to be talking about the truth. We're not going to be swapping service stories right now or anything else, and this person was like, okay, and went off and continued to do what they were doing. But then I thought, no, wait a minute. Back to this childhood theory, which is not a theory, it's true. It's true. Ask anybody who's done real research into cults. Getting them when they're young is key. And I thought, okay, wait a minute, let me test this out. So I went up to this person when they were coming out of where they were to continue the conversation, because I had to ask this one witness that I had had such respect for all along. You know, never got a hint of bad attitude, bitterness, jealousy, political opportunism, all the ugliness that I had seen in so many other witnesses. Never saw it in this person. So I really wanted to know, okay, how are you still loyal to this organization when you're such a nice person? When there's all this garbage swirling around about it, prompting good people to leave. Why are you not leaving? I was thinking of asking her. So I'm like, okay, when did you start studying the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses? And just from the way I asked that question, you could tell that was disturbing to her. See, you're supposed to ask, as a witness, you're supposed to ask, when did you get the truth? See, that's how you put that question to another witness, and they won't think twice. When you say, when did you start studying the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses, you notice a difference right away. In fact, maybe I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go and try to get some captures of witnesses asking them, oh yeah, I studied the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses. When did you get the truth? And then see how they answer. And then another day find another witness at a cart and be like, oh yeah, I studied the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses. Say, when did you start studying the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses? And see the difference. Anyway, so there's that language issue. You don't use the right language, and they're taken aback for a minute. And she was taken aback when I said, as opposed to, when did you get the truth? But when did you start studying the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses? Someone who'd known me for 11 years, who I'd spoken the speak with for 11 years. So just by asking her, when did you start studying the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses, you could tell she was already starting to detach herself from the conversation. And she kind of went, well, my parents started studying the truth when they got married. In other words, I was raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So the question is, how many people baptized in the last 20 years, let's say in North America, okay, were, at the time of their starting to study the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses, mentally and emotionally stable, were able to speak English fluently, who were not related to one of Jehovah's Witnesses, or who weren't romantically interested in one of Jehovah's Witnesses at the time of their studying. Okay, how many people who don't fall into either one of those four categories started studying the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses and have gotten baptized in North America in the last 50 years? Now that's a good question. XJW community. That's a good question. Because personally, I can't think of anyone, not one person, who falls into that category. Okay? Not related to a witness, fluent English speaker, emotionally and mentally stable at the time of their starting to study, and not romantically interested in one of Jehovah's Witnesses at the time of their starting to study. How many people who don't fall into one of those four categories started studying, kept studying, and are now baptized and are going to help form the nucleus of a new earthly society after we're all slaughtered?